Perfect. A lot of
So, okay, yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say a lot of a lot of movement possibilities going into the open, but no real prints or anything yet.
okay. So
I do
where
like
would you like to start?
yeah with CDIO for sure.
Okay.
Spend a few minutes on it and to open and see if it prints anything, but so far nothing controlling, nothing really stands out or anything.
So what about the 750 prints right here?
I'd say it's a start, but it's nothing crazy.
Okay.
Only
I
four prints
completely
in one
agree.
burst. Yeah. So it definitely has potential, but need to see a lot more into open, I would think. And those 775s were nice as well, but still the same deal.
All right. So one thing that we want to think about, and so is this a new story?
It's a few day old story.
It
It's
is.
not brand new.
So are we going to see a lot of the same traders that are going to be in it?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, right? So what was our personality that we were talking about yesterday?
With CDIO,
Hmm.
I don't remember. I don't I haven't been completely caught up on the whole story of it. I know that um it definitely has it has the ability to print and show shorter term prints.
Absolutely. So yesterday afternoon when we were going and we were, going over what its personality was, what we're seeing is we're getting decent controlling prints. It's not, a huge amount, but it is having a large effect on what the stock is actually doing. And really where we come from our money time is that basically we're seeing short-term prints, and from those short-term prints, we're going almost immediately into money time. So as much as I agree with what you're saying about the 750, not being a huge amount, because it really isn't, based off of knowing that information, doesn't it hold a bit more weight than it would if it was just a brand new story that we were looking at?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Because we know
Mm,
how it responds to it previously.
exactly.
And so based off of its personality, it's it's enough at the controlling level, but we still want to see a lot more shorter term prints come in because that's what it really runs off of.
Hmm. Exactly. I'm not going to go into today's morning trying to make up a new personality because it's not a new stock. This isn't a brand new story. It's, as you said, it's been a couple days. This is the third day that it's going into it. So it's not really 15 minutes of fame anymore. So you know what? I'm going to take into account exactly how it's been trading.
Yeah, you have to. That really adds percentage. It just
Hmm.
makes it easier to read, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it adds perspective.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. So now knowing this, the it has obviously a high possibility of moving, but
It
we
sure
know if
does.
if we see a lot at a controlling level, then that possibility
Well,
shifts to more building.
so at this point, we're below 750. So really what it adds the possibility of is that really all we need is short-term prints.
Oh, using the okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, what
Gotcha.
what more
Yeah,
controlling prints do you need to see?
that's true.
I mean, you have it
Is
at
it is enough.
750 and 775, which the possibility, if we had to put on a scale from 1 to 10, okay, what's the possibility of this hitting 8?
8,
Mm-hmm.
8 out of 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay. Yeah, about because based off 750 and 775, we already have the money to get to 8. Easy.
Mm, easy, conservatively, yeah.
hmm So now when we know what its personality and what the possibilities and how it kind of trades, really all we're looking for is some short-term prints, and we should have no problem whatsoever. Now we also have to take into account though some other variables that come within its personality. Okay, money time when it typically is happening, how long does it last for?
Not that long. It's a lot of your entry has to be really, really good. And then when you're in, you're not in for a very long time. It's like I guess the stop and go personality. It triggers and
Yep.
goes, and then consolidates, triggers and goes, consolidates.
Exactly. So we're going to start off going in with the personality of understanding that once it kind of moves, that we might have to be ready to get out almost immediately. But that also adds the ability to now anticipate something because what do we know we need to see in order for that to not happen?
More shorter term, more continuation, and volume to
Mhm.
sustain as well.
Exactly. So when we see that happening now, even though we're going in with the mindset of its personality doesn't really last long within its money time, we know what it needs to look like in order for it to actually last.
Yep.
So we're taking all this thinking out before the stock even starts. Because if I get into it and now it's, surpasses 8, but I'm not seeing that shorter term money time coming in, I'm going to have to manage almost immediately. Now, if I do see that shorter term money time coming in, then guess what? Now I know I have an extension. So I already know what my expectations of what I'm looking for before the market even opens.
Yeah.
So
Just based
this
off the
way,
print.
when it happens, I'm not reacting to it. I already know the stories, the possibilities in my head. So I'm not going to be reacting to it. It's literally just going to confirm or deny exactly what I'm thinking. If it denies what I'm thinking, well, guess what? I'm going to have to get out. I'm going to have to manage my position. If it confirms and we see it keep going, then perfect. The whole point of understanding personality and possibilities is so we could do all the mental work before we even trade it. This way, when we're in the stock, we're not confused by anything because we know exactly what has to happen in order for where our trade fits in to work out.
Yeah. The information either comes or it doesn't. It's that simple.
hmm And we know how to react whether it does come or it doesn't come.
Yep. If it doesn't, we don't do anything. But if it does, then obviously we take the trade.
hmm
Couple more ask at 750, but not seeing any shorter term. Makes perfect sense what it did. Pushing up, grab some shares above 750, then bar it down to shake them out.
hmm So we knew exactly what we were looking for. This is just a perfect example of a no trade because what did we need in order for us to be able to get to 8, to get to, to show us that it actually had that 80% chance of getting there?
We needed that standout shorter term, and none of that came in.
hmm Did it come in?
Nope.
No. So one person might have said, well, I took this trigger right off the bat because it had such a high chance of being able to get to 8, which it still does because those prints aren't gone. They're still there.
Hmm.
How do I know they're still there? Well, because it never made, any type of real move for them to be able to get out on, a successful trade there. But this is one of those situations, technically, that's a trigger coming right out of the gate. But it can't be because we've already determined what our personality and our possibilities. So that's the
Yep.
difference between trying to get into this stock because we don't want to miss out on FOMO versus there literally not being any type of high percentage trade coming into that stock.
Yeah. Exactly. It's the um, timing percentage. The only reason you would take that is emotion. You know, we know that.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out because this thing
Right.
could have ran to 850.
Oh, easily. But if it were if it was going to run to 850, we would see someone,
Exactly. And
at
we knew
least
exactly
one.
the type of person we needed to see, and they never came.
Yep.
hmm But and the funny thing is that we knew this before even going into 9:30. So the market opens, we have perfect clarity. It doesn't, just because things are moving faster when the market opens doesn't mean that we don't still know exactly what it needs to look like or what we need to see for it to actually fit and give us some, a real high percentage. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't watch CDIO for shorter term prints to come in at this lower point because it just gives us more room to be able to get back up to that 8. But what it does mean is that we can't just take a bar up because we know there's high volume. And that's a big mistake a lot of traders make is once the market opens, they know the volume's there. So they see these bars, they'll see a bar coming up and be like, okay, well, that's a trigger. Yeah, price action and volume technically is a trigger, but not all price action and volume is a trigger. Knowing these possibilities allows us to understand that without the personality coming in with those shorter term prints, we have no chance. So this first bar up was really just to do what?
To shake people out.
Pretty much. No new position coming into it, no shorter term. They had no intentions on this going to 8 yet.
Nope. Still building.
hmm
And based off this volume and the real lack of clear accumulation coming in, it looks like they want to build a little bit longer, you know?
So
But
is it that they want to build longer or they have to?
oh, they have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean they're doing what they have to do, like to get
Yeah,
the
with what's
position filled.
available.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Couple 7S, that's not really doing anything for us.
No, and I forget, it was one of the level 2 classes we talked about. Oh, okay, those are nice. So,
Mm.
you know, 699 and 712 above. Let's see. Yeah, that's the trigger there. That's it. Because we'd
I
be in
love this
following them.
game.
Yeah.
But do you see how the second they came out, you knew what you're looking for.
Yep. That's exactly
So there
what.
there was no reason after those prints came in to wait for anything. That's game time. And
No,
it
you click
fits
with them.
the exact personality that we talked about yesterday afternoon. You have those shorter term prints come in, they come in first, and then almost immediately afterwards, we have that money time. But we can't forget about the rest of our personalities now. We have that money time that's coming in. What do we have to worry about?
We need more shorter terms to sustain. So we have a price target of 8 now,
Our
and
time
we
frame, we know that when it makes this type of moves, this time frame a lot of time is short. And when
yep.
I say short, I don't mean that it doesn't go to 850 eventually, but we're not going to give up 60 cents in our trade to pull back to then hold it because of why?
Because once it does pull back, it'll go into the consolidation and build more. You
Which
know,
is then in
it's
turn going to give us a very high percent chance of what?
getting another bar down or just being stuck there. It's just not worth being in
A new entry.
and being exposed. Oh, duh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see exactly what you
Exact.
mean. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right now, the market just opened. The chances of them pulling it back to then be able to go to that 850 point, okay, if we have those prints, statistically speaking, we're going to get a new entry. So why would I give up 60 cents on my trade to hold it when I can get out and then I can get back in? And now I'm playing with house money. I've locked in that first trade.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at
Now
this, guys. This is clockwork. You don't get, I mean, this
it's clear.
this completely this is how cheap stocks work. It's that simple. When we can identify a personality that happens at such a high percentage, all we have to do is wait for them to show us exactly what they do to make their money. I mean, does it get easier of a trade than this?
Nope.
I mean, I don't know how to make it any easier. But the key here was what happened. What was the key spot? And I'm going to go back to it in the prints in a second just so we have the visual of it. But what was the key spot?
Key was the buying that was above and below 7,
Exactly.
but not at 7.
Nothing at
Right?
seven.
We got 2 prints at 7, which mean nothing.
And those happened first.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Oh, God, no one's paying attention right now because they better all be in it.
Yeah.
Okay, but right here. So underneath, okay, and above. Now the key prints here are actually what?
712.
712. Okay, because yes, this is showing us shorter term, but this is showing us money time. So would you say there's alignment within these two?
It, it could be all the same, like person eating all that up from 696 to 725.
But I
Like the
want you to
amount
think about it for a second. 699 needs to be attached to what in order for us to really use them?
to 7.
Okay, to 7, but nothing came in at 7. So now we just have shorter term 699 prints. Okay, so now they're telling us that we don't really know yet if it needs to pull back, if it can just keep going. We're not really positive. We know it's shorter term, but we don't have enough information to really to make that decision. But then immediately after comes 712. What does 712 tell us? Do we need it to be attached to anything?
Nope. Those
Nope.
standalone go time now.
That's it. So think
Alphas.
about it. Someone came in, told us shorter term, we just didn't have enough information to really make any decisions on it. But then someone else came in and said, we're going to money top. So those 699 prints really shorter term, and one says go time. So do those two philosophies align?
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It gives way more weight to the 712 and, vice versa between the two,
Exactly.
they both help each other.
Mm. And they both essentially mean the same thing. Okay,
Hmm.
699 prints doesn't mean that they're not money time. It just means statistically speaking, okay, about 80% of the time we're going to need them attached to something for them to really give us the information. Okay, so being attached to the controlling prints, 699 prints are going to tell us that if we have controlling prints at 7, that those 7 prints aren't going to need to build as long. Okay, because those are ballsy prints, right? So when we
Yep.
have that, and then it's aligned with someone that's saying it's go time, well, now we have something that they connect to each other. Both are saying, where is the stock going?
Up now.
Up and out time frame quickly.
Yeah.
And this all this all came from the mental, the thought process and the possibilities. Okay, we talked. It was what was the possibility of it hitting 8?
80%.
Eighty
Without short
percent
term.
Exactly.
Without
Okay,
short
so
term.
all we needed were those short-term prints to come in. First trade of the, first second that the market opened, okay? We got that move up, nothing in it. So, doesn't mean anything. We can't do anything with it. Then all of a sudden it comes down, we get those prints that come in, we exactly what we're looking for. That's it. There was nothing. The second those prints came out, it's time to click the button. And then look what ends up happening. I mean, this is a monster trade to start your morning off with. But do
Yeah.
you see how it all came from what we talked about before the market even opened?
Yeah, we knew exactly what we needed.
So we were able to envision exactly what it had to look like for this chart to look like this before it even happened. We got these prints, and what happened? Exactly what it needed to look like. I mean, it's clockwork.
Yeah. And then on the management side of things, I mean, we had obviously the 8 conservatively, but it printed 8 ask above print personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from there, what are the chances that it's going to build same exact way what we talked about before the market opens as well? I mean, from there,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking off majority of the position
You
and
have
then
to.
leaving a little bit, like 20%, had some shorter term
Hmm.
above 8 come in,
Because in
you know
case
that
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 thing could have
first.
just ran to 10 and started going crazy. So we're going to leave that. But what's
Oh
the
yeah.
reason we're going to take off such a large amount because of that many building prints at 8?
Well, the possibility that it's going to come back and build is high. I mean, there's
Very
still
high,
a possibility that
but
it's going to keep
there's don't
running.
don't forget about one point. So the possibility of it building is high. There's another possibility that's very high.
The continuation on shorter term.
Not continuation, but getting a new entry.
Oh, dude. Oh man.
You
Okay.
cannot forget about that. That is a huge point. If I know I'm not going to get another entry, I'm willing to pay a few extra cents because I might not be able to get back into the trade. So I don't want to get out because it moves down 20 cents when I'm not going to be able to get back in. But this is literally kind of just replaying itself because we know that when this stock goes into money time, based off the personality we've spoken about before the market even opened, how long does it typically last?
Not long at all.
Not
Minutes.
long at all. So when I get huge building prints coming in at 8, and I know it does, the personality shows me it doesn't last long in money time, what's my only option?
Manage the majority.
Hmm, I have to. And I have to manage a very large part of that position because, again, the huge variable that comes into play is once this pulls back from those 8, if this stock is going to 10, we're going to get a new entry.
Yep.
And this is all coming, this management, every aspect of this is all just coming from understanding personality and possibilities.
It's so simple, really. It's only a few things.
It really is. I mean, it's not, but it is because there's a lot. Again, there's a bunch of moving parts that just need to be thought about. None of the moving parts is rocket science. There's no part that I'm ever going to teach you in trading that's like, well, I'm really not smart enough to learn this. It's not physics, but it's taking all those simple philosophies and just putting them together and thinking of them all at once. That's the hard part. There's nothing hard about this. It's just taking all the simple stuff and thinking of it at all times.
Yeah. And that just takes time, really.
Yeah, well, it's asking the right questions. One of the reasons when I teach you guys, I ask constant questions and I give you time in between to actually think about it yourself, is because I know me personally, when I'm just told something, it doesn't really retain. But the things that I have to actually sit there and think about, those are that's really how it gets stuck in my head. So every time I'm looking at a stock, I'm basically interrogating it. I'm asking it a million different questions so I can kind of get a read on it, and then from that read, that's where these trades come from. But the whole purpose, everything that we've went over in these classes have just came into fruition into this one trade. Because before the market even opened, we didn't have prints yet. So in your mind, you're like, okay, well, there's not really much to do with this stock, but did we not know exactly what needed to happen for this perfect trade to come about?
Because of the questions that you have to ask yourself.
So even though there wasn't anything there yet, there was such a strong possibility of it getting to that 8. We named it at 80%. 80% is huge, is it not?
Oh yeah. That's a whole trade in itself.
Well, again, we don't want to trade off
But
possibilities
you
of something
can't.
happening
Right. Right.
because we're going to need those prints. If it wasn't for those short-term prints, we're not going to just take a guess that
Yeah.
this is going to get to 8. But at the same time, and then understanding the possibilities. Another huge point that I want to kind of drill home is that 750 and those 775s, although on a cheaper stock don't look like a lot, in the personality of this stock, didn't they mean a ton?
Yeah. Yeah. They meant right. They
That's
they
what gave
meant
us the
the whole thing.
80% chance of getting to 8.
Yeah.
Until we had those, if those prints weren't there, we really were at a coin flip, aren't we?
Oh, the
Because 8's
750 and
easy to
75.
hit, but there's really nothing there to tell us it's going that way. So It could hit it, might not. It's pretty much at a coin flip. When we add those prints into it and we add that personality, that's where we got all the way to 80. So now we have an 80% trade. Once, okay, 80% possibility. Now, when we take the variables of the actual trade itself, I mean, really, this trade was, once those prints came in, this trade was what percentage?
I we could say 90, you know, can't technically say it's higher, but
Yeah, really, I mean, you're talking about 90, 95%.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna
So,
say.
so not only did the trade and the prints align, but the possibilities aligned. Everything was aligned.
Yep.
When everything's aligned, what happens to our trading?
Oh, the percent goes even higher.
Ugh. I mean, we can't go over 100%, but if there was over 100%, it would be that
Yeah.
coming into it. This is just one of those perfect, perfect examples of how we take everything we just learned in class and we implement it. Because the pre-market is harder now because we're not getting those prints. We're not necessarily coming into the open with a game plan from something that's already happened. What we have to do is we have to see the potential within it, understand the possibilities, because when we understand those possibilities, it allows us to know exactly when this happens, this is how it should react. So that's the difference between taking this trade, at 770 versus the second those short-term prints came in at 712 being in at 715 and following them immediately. And that's how it works.
It's gonna be very exciting to watch back. It's just so crystal clear. Now, these classes are cleared up so much. Thank you, Rich.
Ah, I'm glad to hear it, Trevor. Great job.
Thank you.
Guys, and that's how it's done. How many of you traded it?